I'm John from Game Life Balance US, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out all the other geeky podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. And get ready, because geekiness commences in 3, 2, 1.
You are listening to the Starling Tribune, a podcast dedicated to the Arrow TV show.
This guy gets more airtime than the Kardashians, right?
This podcast is not produced or maintained by the CW, Warner Brothers Television, CTV, or DC Comics. All characters, situations, and stories are the properties of Time Warner. I am the Oracle, and this is your Tribune.
Welcome back to Earth 2's favorite newspaper, the Starling Tribune. Why is it Earth 2's favorite newspaper? Because it's still called Starling City on Earth 2. I am the chief editor, SP, and I have a couple of other great reporters for this episode number 187 of the Starling Tribune. Chris!
Prison Break. I'm in.
For those that didn't get that reference, you just don't get out enough. And Michelle!
Geez Louise, this disaster keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Thanks, Gary. By the way, I like broccoli. What? Okay. This podcast is recorded on Sunday, February 25th, 2018, live via geeks.live.
That's right, and this evening we'll be discussing Legends of Tomorrow, as well as news, interviews, articles, and announcements that have dropped recently that could impact future episodes of Legends, as well as the rest of the CW television verse, with shows like The Flash, Supergirl, Arrow, Vixen, Constantine, and who knows what else might get tossed in there eventually.
If you're new to the show, thank you for searching us out on the internet and joining us. After the show, you can check out our content at GonnaGeek.com, where you can also find other geeky videos, podcasts, and articles.
Woohoo! Thanks, guys. We got through the intro stuff. Now it's time to get into the exciting stuff, the episode of the week. So, Michelle, why don't you go ahead and break it down for us?
Yes, this episode of Legends of Tomorrow is called Zari. It's Season 3, Episode 3. It originally aired Tuesday, October 24, 2017. It's directed by Marzi Almas. Credits include 2 episodes of Arrow, 5 of The 100, 3 Legends, 2 Lucifer, 2 Defiance,
Woohoo!
and 9 Smallville. Written by James Egan, who's also done 3 Legends, 2 Ash versus the Evil Dead, and 3 Hellcats, and Ray Ucharnichet, who's written 9 episodes of Legends, 1 Flash, 4 Tomorrow People, and 2 Person of Interest.
James Egan doesn't sound incredibly familiar, but do you know if this team has worked together before?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Because I would be pretty sure that Marzi and Ray have worked together before, but I'm not sure about James. We'll check on that, get back to you later on that, listener. In the meantime, we're going to break down the ratings for this week that the episode aired, and we're talking back in October of 2017. On Monday, the 23rd of October, an episode of Supergirl, which was Season 3, Episode 3, entitled Far From the Tree, garnered a total rating of 2.78. And once again, we're not sure if these ratings actually encompass the CW app views as well. We postulate that the viewers actually are a little bit bigger, maybe somewhere in the area of 20 to 50% bigger than these numbers. So on Tuesday, the 24th of October, Flash aired the 3rd episode of the 4th season titled Luck Be a Lady to a total viewership of 4.46. And I believe these are same day plus 7 ratings, right, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay. And then following The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow aired their 3rd season of the 3rd episode of the 3rd season with the episode Zari to a total rating of 2.38. So that's actually pretty good for Legends of Tomorrow. And then Thursday, the 26th of October, Arrow aired the 3rd episode of their 6th season that started all of these shows off with the episode entitled Next of Kin to a total rating equal to Legends of Tomorrow for the week of 2.38. I think these are good ratings. I wish Arrow was a little bit bigger, but I think these are good ratings for the week.
Yeah, it seems as though Arrow consistently adds 1 million viewers once you factor in all the DVR, Live plus 7, which is pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And once again, it's probably even greater because they're not counting the CW app. Now, CW, for those that are new to the show here and don't know, CW actually pumps out the episode for free the next day on the CW app. So you can get the last 5 episodes of all these shows available the next day after they air. So that's great. And I'm glad the CW does this, and it probably makes it fiscally viable for them to do these shows. All right, we're going to get down into the episode as I promised all along. So, Michelle, what's the overall theme?
Let's see, the episode's called Zari. They meet a woman named Zari, and she ends up with them at the end. So, yeah, that's basically it. No big mystery there.
She looks so familiar to me. She looked familiar to me this time around, but obviously the first time around when we watched it, because we watching this months afterwards, but we watched this real time too. She looked very familiar to me, and I don't know if she looks like somebody else or not, but I went into her IMDb, couldn't find any real show that I would have seen her in before. So she must just have one of those faces that are very familiar.
Possibly. That's true for a lot of people. Well, this episode primarily takes place in Seattle in the year 2042. And 2042 isn't all that great, is it, Chris?
No, we don't get our nice, wonderful future. This is kind of a dark twist on what we expect the future to be, which kind of makes sense if we've watched some of the Legends Tomorrow glimpses of our future. They're not always great, but yeah, Argus runs everything. Our super secret police or super secret spy organization that we know from current day Arrow has somehow taken over and basically runs everything. Blew my mind.
Metas have been illegal or since 2021. There's no religion. Argus experiments on metahumans. It's just not that beautiful, wonderful, joyous future that we think of.
Right, it had a very X-Men Days of Future Past vibe to me, for lack of a better term.
I like the incorporation of the drones, though, because drones have just been exploding in their use. The first ones really came out in the computer electronics show as we know them today, you know, the quadcopters from like 2012. And this is like 6 years later, and it is now almost an everyday thing. If you watch any YouTube videos that's with like anything outdoors or a sailing channel or something like that, odds are they will have used a drone to garner footage from around. And then even with sporting events, you have drones as well. Although like with Major League Baseball and with the National Football League, you don't want a drone flying around that might actually get hit by the ball. So they're all on tracks to try to get out of the way. But the point is that they are being used, and I'm glad that they incorporated that within the show here, at least a couple of scenes at the beginning. I would say that Earth 2's view and feel is more futuristic than 2042 in this version of the time screwed up Legends of Tomorrow. Did you guys get that feel?
I think that's fair.
That is very fair.
Yeah. So looking for something a little bit more futuristic. But then when you're going with the War of the World vibes, then maybe technology ceases to be developed. I don't know.
Well, in 2042, Kawasa, as we know her, everybody seems to call her Water Witch. She has come to assassinate Zari, and quickly we find out how deadly she is. She attacks the Argus cops, gets in there using her water power, kills them very quickly. And before she can murder Zari, Zari gets away on her own. And fortunately, our team, catches up to Zari because they want to help her. But the police come and they try to arrest them. SP, what happens when the police try to arrest Sarah and the rest of the team?
Yeah, they get away. I mean, they get arrested, and then or they basically do I want to say sucker punch, but that's not true. I mean, they fake play that they're going to get arrested, and then they fight their way out.
But Mick doesn't get to burn anyone, sadly.
I know, that was my favorite part. He's just there with his gun going, and just like aiming and looking and aiming and wanting to fire, but having to stop because if he fires, he'll burn his teammates because his teammates are, attacking the police. And he was just so upset. And he throws his gun. And
that just shows how much he has grown as a person, though, because do you think season 1 Mick would care who he burned? He'd just burn.
That is a very good point.
He has matured just a little bit.
I often have an issue with how they treat Mick because one episode he'll be the heartfelt guy and the other episode he won't give a care and he'll just want to slash and burn everything. So this has been persistent since last year. I think he's getting a little bit more comfortable with trying to play the character as the same keel from episode to episode. But like at the end of this episode, he is trying to bring Zari into the team, and it seems like it's from a heartfelt place, but who knows with him? I don't know. You would think that with a hardened criminal, he might be interested in female companionship, but there's never that sort of romantic relationship that really develops for him on the ship either.
Well, not everything has to end up with romance. Romance doesn't have to be on everyone's to-do list. You could still feel very fulfilled and happy being a single guy.
Does he feel fulfilled and happy on the ship?
Sometimes.
Yeah, there is sometimes.
Yeah, when they treat him like a human versus treat him like a goon, I would say so. And we're currently in one of those phases where they treat him like a human.
Okay.
Well, Zari slips away again, and what I like is Sarah turns to Mick and is like, okay, you're a criminal on the run. Where are you going to go? And they end up at a bar. And it is not a season of Legends of Tomorrow unless you have a bar fight.
Bar fight!
Exactly.
It was a good one, too.
Yes, because Kawasa finds them, and Sarah's there with her sticks, and she's, fighting Kawasa. But Kawasa's stronger because she's embodiment of that water totem, and throws Sarah over the bar. And then Sarah goes to Mick. It's like, hey, Mick, can I have a diversion?
And what does Mick do? Of course, he starts the fight.
Starts the fists a-swinging because that's what Mick does best.
They just, as every bar they go into, they need some sort of, the old style saloon piano player. They just need that in every bar because I need old style Western piano playing during these bar fights.
I'm sure someone has made a cut of it like that on YouTube somewhere if we go and look for it.
Be awesome. Legends of Tomorrow bar fight piano playing scene. That is odd. Yes. If somebody has done that, link me to it. I want to see it.
Oh, I'm sure. We'll just have to look and find it. Anyone who's listening right now, if you can find that, send it to us. At Starling Tribune on Twitter.
Yeah, so Zari tricks our team into rescuing her brother, which turns into a heist. And again, Mick likes her because she is such a criminal and it's a woman after his own heart. And the Argus part is just punch, 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 and they get away, and she gets.
Wait a minute. We can't skip over this. They plan a prison break with Mick. He was in Prison Break. It was all great.
He's Lincoln Schofield, or Lincoln Burroughs, excuse me.
But their big plan was to sneak in as maintenance workers. Oh, gee, I've never seen that in a movie or television before.
It's not like Arrow hasn't done it twice this season, I don't think.
Yeah, so I don't understand. It's like, what is like no one checks maintenance workers after all this time, after all the media that has shown people faking their way into buildings, posing as maintenance workers.
Would you rather have an Ocean's 11 style heist plan, or would you rather have the cool CGI of the totems? I mean, it's one or the other.
I kind of want a heist because that'd be fun and different. I'm not trying to say it to be difficult, but I love heist movies. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, no, a heist movie sounds cool.
But I mean, Mick has been a part of a lot of heists in the past, especially when he was with Snart. And it would have been great to have seen him actually plan the prison break. Instead, they just show up as maintenance workers, punch a few people, release the prisoners, and then punch a few more people, and then Zari gets away again.
I think you're wanting the level of quality TV that we find on CBS. And Michelle, I have to remind you, this is not CBS. This is CW.
Wouldn't it have been so difficult just to have seen Mick go, here's my plan.
No,
this is what we're going to do.
At some time in the future, Mick needs, and he's done that before, by the way. They had him plan the heist back last season when they were in Chicago. I want to say in the 20s. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, they were in the truck
Yes.
and the machine guns going off everywhere, but none of them got hit.
Right.
See, that's what happened when Mick plans a heist. Nobody gets shot.
Well, where's the fun in that, though? I mean, they got to get burned.
Mick does the burning.
Well, eventually, the Time Bureau, Ava Sharp shows up with her very, very big ship. And Chris, why don't you describe what happens in like the time stream? Wave Rider versus Time Bureau ship.
Oh, Time Bureau ship is a bit more powerful. Let's put it that way. It's kind of a beatdown, if I'm remembering it correctly.
It's got the big guns. It's shooting at them, and the Wave Rider is just trying to run away.
It reminds me of the Defiant versus other large capital class starships in Star Trek, because the Wave Rider's all nimbly bimbly and flying around and dodging things, taking shots, and you've got this giant hunk of metal that is the Time Bureau ship.
Just spewing from the cannons, and then the rear deflector shield goes off, and then Sarah's got to turn the ship around, and she's got a suicide run going. She's going mano a mano against Ava, and Ava blinks. I was surprised at that, by the way. But then I started to thinking, how much does this capital ship cost? I mean, how much is going to be on her paycheck for the rest of her life as a report of survey is done, and she is now charged with the cost of the ship that she loses just because she didn't blink from the chicken dance. So, okay, I get that, but still, it would have been nice to see a collision.
The paperwork. Can you imagine Ava's having to do all that paperwork?
Yeah, that'd be less than fun. How about that for
She strikes me as somebody that's organized, but at the same time, she strikes me as somebody that doesn't like it paperwork. No. I mean, who really does? But, I mean, some people do, I guess. I don't know.
I've met a couple of people who like paperwork.
Ooh.
What is
It's
wrong
really
with
bad.
them?
What kind of Christmas party do they go to?
I don't know. Well, eventually we have Zari, who she ends up having the air totem. That's what ends up being stolen from the prison. Her brother used it to fight against Argus, and she goes to what's supposed to be a meeting point, a sanctuary with her family, but it's burned and nobody's there, which is sad. And she's, obviously upset. Ray finds her. But then, of course, Kawasa shows up. And before we discuss the fight, we talked about Vixen. And in season 2 of Vixen, Ray went up against Kawasa. Is it one of those things where it's like Vixen is canon but not canon? Because wouldn't he have recognized her?
Well, he's assuming she's dead, though. I mean, she looks a little different from between the cartoon, from what I recall, and now. Or am I remembering incorrectly?
He did mention that he fought somebody that was like her a couple of years ago, but I wasn't sure who he was talking about. If he was talking about the Water Witch or if he was talking about somebody else, because they have fought water-based powered people before. So I don't know. It's a fine line there. And yes, you're right. Vixen is supposed to be it's my opinion anyway that all the CW Seed stuff is supposed to be canon as it goes into the CW shows. So, yeah, I guess this fell below the radar.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, Chris, you actually brought up a good point. She does look different because she did have hair in the animated series, and now she has very short hair.
But wouldn't Ray remember the totem being the source of her water power?
There's been a lot that's gone on. Maybe Ray's been hit in the head a few times or something.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough. Anyway, so SP, what happens with the fight between Ray and Zari and Kawasa?
Kawasa doesn't taste good. I mean, that's basically what came out of that. That Kawasa tried to kill Ray by infiltrating his lungs through his nose and his mouth with her water, and basically knocks him out, incapacitates him for some time. Whereas Zari all of a sudden turns her power on, turns her totem on, and they go at each other for a little bit until they separate enough to be able to retreat. So there's a little bit too much head scratching over what exactly the powers are, because obviously they're using the totems, but yet not everybody realizes that the totems are the power. So I got a little confused there.
Well, I know Zari knows that her power comes from the totem because she touches it and then she does the wind things. You know, she can fly and
Well, she realizes it, but I don't know if Kawasa realizes it.
Oh, true. And then Amaya shows up and she's able to take care of Kawasa. But before, Amaya can actually do anything else, Kawasa brings out a stone with a symbol, which we find out later that's the time spell symbol. And she looks at Amaya and is like, I can't kill you because if I kill you, I kill myself.
Right. Bit of a problem there. The Back to the Future-esque kind of issue you have.
I'm wondering if that's actually the case in this series right now, because you have all sorts of time displaced people. You've got Zari, who ends up being time displaced. You've got Amaya, who's time displaced. So I wonder how true that actually is.
Well, the real question is, how long does time sit static like that with a bunch of people displaced? I mean, eventually you think you'd reach a point where it's like, I don't know what's going on here. I've got people pulled from 6,000 different times and things aren't working. Wonder if that's something's going to happen later. I don't know.
You sure it's 6,000? Because I heard there's only 52 Earths.
Well, I mean, it was an exaggeration, perhaps. But
and then Earth X, so really is Earth 53.
I was just going to go with it for exaggeration's sake and making a point, but okay, I see your point, SP.
Get it right, Chris.
Sorry, boss. I'm fired.
Well, at the beginning of the season, Amaya does say that she talked to Rip, and Rip told her that she only has so much more time to be a time traveler, because if she's out of 1942 much longer, the timeline will move in a way to where she won't have children and she won't have grandchildren. So like I said, that's something that needs to be resolved by the end of the season.
We hope so, at least. It's very fluid, a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, it depends on if Legends of Tomorrow is going to be renewed for another season or not, which we haven't heard any of these shows are going to be renewed. And I think Flash is pretty safe that they're going to get renewed for another year. I don't know if any of the other shows are in and out. We've talked about that before on the show, so I don't want to devolve into that discussion, but it does have an implication on what happens with Amaya here. So just stay tuned for that.
I want to actually jump over our main characters and go to how they end up in 2042. Sarah intercepts a message from our favorite Time Bureau agent.
I don't know if he's favorite, but he's the one that we see most.
I like him. I won't say he's my favorite, but he's high up there because of the entertainment factor.
He has poor circulation, though.
So, Chris, since since Gary amuses you, why don't you talk about how he brings the team to 2042?
Well, he's kind of trying to fix things there himself. And what is it, the Code 99 that he triggers that the Legends over here?
Code 99. It's a Code 99.
Well, what shows up for help? It's not his Time Bureau, his chums at the Time Bureau. It's the Legends of Tomorrow, and it's kind of hard to tell them no when they have their mindset on helping you.
Well, you're right. They show up first. You would think the Time Bureau would keep better tabs on its agents, and Ava did say that they could zip in automatically and save the Legends of Tomorrow crew that were fighting Kawasa. So, I mean, I'm a little confused as to how much they actually value Gary.
It's time travel. How do you not beat them there? I mean, literally, you can get that big, let's go back in time 10 seconds before we even sent that, and we could be there. That's just convenience, I tell you. Convenience of plot.
Both sides have that same ability to time travel, though.
That's true. But do you really? Well, I guess it's Gideon that would be controlling the time travel, so maybe Gideon's smart enough to have them show up just moments after the distress call comes out. I do have a lot of trust in Gideon. Whereas
the other people the Time Bureau allows the passage of time for some reason.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
But if they arrive before Gary does the distress call, there's no distress call.
Unless they tell him to do a distress call.
Oh, my head hurts. Why did you do that to me?
It's Gary. He doesn't even want their help, and then he gets upset when they do help, and then he gets upset when they bring Zari onto the ship. But Gary is the one that is like, you can't be here. This is a time ship. And she's like, you're time travelers? And Gary's like, oh, that one's on me. My
bad. My bad, guys. My B.
At least he's owning up.
That's true.
Seek and take responsibility for your actions.
But you have to, there's a charm to Gary.
There's something to Gary.
I sense that he's actually a really, 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 really good actor to be able to pull off this level of incompetence and sincerity.
Yeah. I like that they're bringing him around. I like that because in last week's episode, it was like, oh yeah, we should go deal with Gary. He's this afterthought. And he really shouldn't be. It's like this poor guy, he's just trying to do his job.
Are you saying they friend zoned Gary in the workplace? He's a workplace friend?
Sure.
What? Like there's...
Well, instead of having, the tight relationship like a work marriage, he's been in the friend zone.
So everybody in the company remembers to invite each other out for drinks. And then like halfway through the party, they're like, did anyone ask Gary?
Oh, now I feel bad for Gary.
I know. How can you not? Look, I think he needs a new line of work, but maybe he just can't go out and interview very well. So he's kind of stuck in the Time Bureau, as a lot of government servants are.
Yeah.
Could be.
Could be. Well, Sarah is the one that wants to go help. And it's interesting. Some of the team is like, we shouldn't do this. Let the Time Bureau handle it. And Sarah says, it is our job to help people. That's been like the mission. She is like, we need to help people. We have messed things up. We need to fix them. So how do we think she actually did this episode?
That's tough.
Well, she won the chicken race. So okay, I'll give her that.
Yeah, but that's just the good guys fighting each other. I mean, the net result is we just delayed ourselves from trying to figure out anything out to solve the time issues.
She does save Gary. She seems to have a thing for Gary, like a big sister, little brother sort of thing. So, okay. She doesn't take the drugs that Nate offers everybody.
However,
So,
she does put the timeline at risk by just plucking Zari out of it to take them with them on their time travel adventures.
yeah.
But she's done that with Amaya, though.
Right.
Well-
So I'm starting to see a trend.
Now, wait a minute. Last episode, she learned that they were going to be up against something bigger and that they might not be ready to handle that. So, if this is an attempt to bolster their powers and their numbers in order to be good enough and powerful enough to go after whoever this is, that could be the underlying motivation. And if that's true, she did an awesome job.
Yeah, maybe she's playing the long game for when Zari learns to control her powers, because she doesn't know how to do that yet. At all.
Yeah, she does. She's got Amaya that's having force problems. So, yeah, I don't know. Could work.
Well, speaking of Amaya and drugs, the reason why Amaya stays is because we learn that her totem is out of control. In fact, at the beginning of the episode, she summoned the ashe of a spider and is actually stuck to the ceiling, just basically sleepwalking. And
I think he was stalking Nate personally, but okay.
And Stein wants to solve this with science, and then we have a great example of mansplaining. If you do not know what mansplaining is, watch the scene in the med bay with Stein and Nate talking about Amaya in front of Amaya as though she is not there. That is mansplaining. Well, eventually Nate is like, okay, this is mystical, and I've done research, and there's this drug, and I had Gideon make this drug, and I've taken some of it, and it's this hallucinated, it's a hallucinogen. And Amaya ends up going on a vision quest. Chris, what happens in Amaya's vision quest?
She tries to use the power of the spider, and she ends up climbing on the ceiling, if I recall correctly here. Which leads to me to some Spider-Man thoughts.
Well, when she's in her vision quest.
Yeah, this is once she's taken the drug.
Oh, okay, after that.
Yeah, she's sitting next to Nate.
This
and
is
Nate
the world
really
between worlds where she gets the idea if she needs to embrace the power, and she needs to be the guide for Zari, and that's part of the reason why they bring Zari on board. If I'm remembering correctly. I'm fuzzy. I only got like 2/3 of the way through this episode. Sorry, guys. Rewatching it.
Yes, that is exactly the case. The guide tells her to embrace the power that she has. She is needed to guide the new totem bearer, which at this moment she thinks is Zari. And Amaya is one of the reasons why Zari does come on board. She does talk her into being there. You're a totem bearer. Totems are connected somehow. This is fate. All that stuff. But SP, what did you think of Nate trying to pilot the Wave Rider?
Is my face falling off? Yeah,
he's tripping.
He gets all the way to the point where he thinks he's going somewhere, and Gideon steps in and says, yeah, the engines are still at idle. So I think Gideon is smart enough to actually sense this and then take control of the ship herself. Gideon is smart. Gideon is capable. Gideon is trusted. She's a trusted agent by the crew. So, yeah, was that really necessary or not? I don't know. I mean, eventually Jack says, hey, Gideon, take control of the ship. And she does. So, and nothing happened. I mean, they rendezvoused just fine with the ship and that's it. But yet the whole Nate tripping thing, this entire episode was interesting. I think he did okay with it. But at the same time, Amaya recovered very fast and they took the same amount of drug, I think. We never actually saw Nate take the drug. So
The totem might help her there since it's designed to interact with that. And I don't know. I think this is all a convenient way to keep Nate from having to use his powers and keep that special effects budget down low.
there you go.
Lower.
Yeah. I mean, they did use special powers, but maybe they could have him steal it. But was he just in costume before at the beginning? Yeah, he was. He wasn't steeled up. Okay.
Yeah, just like they conveniently had Stein do the sciencey stuff and have Jax on the mission, so we couldn't get Firestorm solving all of the problems.
Well, they definitely solved that problem for us in a couple episodes.
Oh, you just had to bring up the sad thing. Why'd you bring up the
I
sad
didn't
thing?
say it was sad. I just said they fixed it.
Fix it. Okay. We'll go with that
For now. Yeah.
for now. Chris, anything else about the episode you want to talk about?
I always just want more Heat Wave. Give me more Heat Wave, please.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was great in this episode. The one-liners, being able to finally burn people.
Yeah. Give me more of that because that's always my fun moment where I just get a smile on my face anytime Mick is on screen doing something. I don't know why, but it just seems to be the case.
SP, any last thoughts in the episode?
A couple. First of all, it was nice seeing Kawasa around with her water powers again. Remember the last that we saw Kawasa in Vixen, we were all wondering where she went because she just disappeared into thin air, basically. So obviously this is when she got brought back. I think it was last episode, actually, at the end that she was brought back. And we see her in this series versus the animation series. So that's good. And then the other thing that I just have to bring up is when I was watching this the first time, I did suspect that what was going on between Sarah and Ava was basically flirting along the way, because these are two people that kind of respect each other. They hate each other at the same time because they keep on getting bested between the two of them. And just the way that they kind of refer to each other, it's supposed to exude hatred, but at the same time, it exudes some respect. I mean, she was called a bitch by Gideon, Ava was, and Sarah echoed that sentiment, but there wasn't a lot of feeling to it. There wasn't like Sarah's eyes didn't glow or anything like they would anyway, but that's just how I would imagine it. So yeah, pay attention to this relationship and think of it in terms of flirting versus adversaries. Slow, maybe flirting going on.
Yes, their relationship does take an interesting turn.
Indeed.
Well, I actually liked how they introduced Zari. I think she's interesting. She's a hacker with a long list of crimes, which is why Mick likes her. And it'll just be interesting to see how she integrates or doesn't integrate with the Legends as the season continues. So that's something to watch out for, because if you watched the latest Legends, which is the time loop one, how Zari is introduced into this episode and that relationship with the team does pay off later in the season. So that is something to watch out for. Well, next week, we're not going to talk about Legends because Arrow is back.
Because the Olympics are over with.
Yes, the Olympics are over, but Arrow is back. Yay!
Woohoo!
The episode is going to be Collision Course. It's season 6, episode 14. It will air Thursday, March 1st, 2018. Oliver, Diggle, and Felicity disagree with Dinah, Curtis, and Renee on how to handle Black Siren. The two teams face off and a fight ensues.
Can I put $5 down and say they say this doesn't change anything, Haas, yet again?
Well, it's not they. There's one person that would say that.
I know, but I was hedging my bets.
This doesn't change anything, Haas. All right. I'm not going to take the bet. Matter of fact, I would pay $5 to take your side.
Oh, well, that's less fun then.
I know.
So, Chris, you're saying that the fight won't change anything. There'll still be two separate teams.
It's not going to change anything, Haas.
You know what? I'll bet you he doesn't say the words, and I'll take that bet because they've been saying that words quite a bit. So $5 on it. And at the end, if I lose $5, you get $5.
It doesn't really matter. We'll never actually put the $5. It's just podcast bets.
There you go. We used to bet quarters way back in the day, but okay.
Inflation, man.
Canadian style money or Bitcoin style money. Yeah, looking forward to this. Get back to Arrow and seeing where that goes, especially with the dragon now named the big bad guy. So we'll see if the dragon, although I don't think this episode's going to have dragon in it by the summary, but it could. So we'll see.
Yeah. This episode is directed by Ken Shane and is written by Oscar Balderrama and Rebecca Bellato. So that wraps things up, and I think it's time to move on to the news.
Here we go. Live from the Starling Tribune main news desk on floor 52 of the Starling Tribune Tower, right here in Starling City on Earth 2, it's the weekly news roundup with Chief News Anchor Michelle Ely. Michelle, take it away.
Well, just a tiny bit of Arrow news. March 15th won't be an episode of Arrow, so we'll get Arrow for a couple of weeks, and then it'll take a week off, and then it'll come back. So just a little scheduling announcement. In Legends of Tomorrow news, you have to have a bar fight to have a Legends season, and you have to have Jonah Hex. Jonah Hex has been confirmed for the season 3 finale episode. Don't know how he comes in, don't know why he's there, but he will be there, and that is good enough for me.
Michelle, do you think you're the bigger Jonah Hex fan, or do you think that Naki is a bigger Jonah Hex fan than you?
I'm going to have to give that to Naki.
Okay. Chris, can you please relay to the Naki that Michelle has seated the chief fandom of Jonah Hex on the Good Geek Network?
I will let her know. However, she does not watch any of these shows, so it might truly be Michelle that has won the crown.
We shall see. Stay tuned to the next episode of All Things Good and Nerdy, episode number 301, for the answer to that.
And Chris, you have a bit of news about The Flash.
That is true. The Flash and also Legends of Tomorrow. It's been found out by Entertainment Weekly that The Flash's Violet Bean, who we know as Jesse Quick, will make an appearance in the 15th episode of Legends of Tomorrow. Now, details are being kept under wraps as to what's going on with the Rave Rider while she's there, but she will be coming on for the episode called Necromancing the Stone. It comes on the heels of Wally West joining the Legends. He briefly appeared this last week on Legends of Tomorrow, and we talked about the fact he was joining the show. So the dimensionally crossed lovers will meet up yet again, I guess. And not only that, she'll be returning to The Flash on Tuesday, March 6th, where she'll team up with The Flash and with Jay Garrick as well to stop a nuclear bomb from destroying Central City.
Nice. I really like Jessie Quick on Flash. Matter of fact, she might be my favorite Flash character. So looking forward to this episode.
Them's fighting words.
It's not fighting words. It's just personal preference. She's my favorite. So, I mean, I'm not saying she's the best. I'm just saying she's my favorite. Who would your favorite be on The Flash, Michelle?
Well, I would like for it to be Caitlin Snow, but they don't do enough for her.
No, they don't, do they?
It's like do more with Caitlin, please. But lately it's been Iris, because Iris has been in charge, doing what needs to be done, taking care of business. And
she has, and she's been forced into that role. So I wonder if her role is going to change at all now that Barry's back. Spoiler.
And another piece of Legends of Tomorrow news, John Noble will actually appear as himself. Entertainment Weekly has learned that the actor who's been voicing Malice, which I did not realize, they're actually going to work a way for him to be in the episode as himself. So nice. John Noble from Fringe is going to be himself. I can't wait for that, because Legends has done interesting things when it comes to like real characters. It'll be fun.
Well, he's done more than just Fringe. I mean, he's a great Australian actor. He's been in Lord of the Rings. He's been in
Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow, yeah. He's been in Elementary. So he's been around, and he is awesome every time he comes. Now, I'll admit, I fell in love with him, like, as, you know, not personally, but I've really enjoyed his acting with Fringe, but he's been in a lot of stuff too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him. And he's playing himself, like John Noble. He's not playing another actor.
No, he's playing John Noble.
John Noble as John Noble. Okay. Well, that'll be good. Can't wait to see it.
And that's all I have for the news.
All right. Now, it's not just news and talk about the CW network shows on the Gonna Geek network, is it, Chris?
No, it's not. This is the part of the show, that is, where we like to remind you guys that the Starling Tribune is in fact part of a network of shows over on the Gonna Geek Network. You can find out more by heading on over to gonnageek.com. There's 25 plus different shows on the network that cover a variety of topics. Some of them are very narrowly focused, such as ourselves, who just talk about the CW verse of superhero shows. Other things are about general geek culture. There's a variety of different things, so each week we try to highlight one of the shows on the network to give you a little bit of a taste of it and say, hey, you might want to go check this out. And this week we're talking about episode 48 of the Game Life Balance US podcast. This is entitled Yoshi's Island, When Optional Content Determines a Game's Fun. Can optional content determine the playability and fun factor of a video game? Cody discusses how this happened as he and John review Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island for the SNES Classic, arguably the best platformer ever made. So if you guys want to dispute that, make sure you listen to this week's episode of Game Life Balance US. Then you can shoot them an email and be like, wait, I don't agree with you one bit, or tell them you do agree with them and you think that Yoshi's Island is arguably one of the best platformers ever made. But you can check out Game Life Balance US and all of these other shows by heading on over to gonnageek.com. But I think that is going to wrap us up. A big thank you to everyone who did watch the show live today or catches one of the replays at a later date. Also, thank you to everyone who downloads the podcast from our website, starlingtribune.com. And don't forget, you can replay the videos over at youtube.com/gonnageek.
Remember, you can always catch us live as we record via www.geeks.live at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific on Sundays. And we really enjoy the live chat as we record too. So come on by and join us with the live chat.
We would love to hear from you. We are the Starling Tribune on Facebook and Instagram, at Starling Tribune on Twitter, and you can call us at 612-888-CAVE. That's 612-888-2283. Well, this brings us to the end of another great episode. Any last words before we sign off? At Stargate Pioneer.
Hashtag Gary is our favorite.
At the Chris Farrell.
Hashtag more Mick, more fun.
And I am at Michelle Ely, signing off with hashtag Sharp Lance, I ship it. Oracle, I think we're done here.
This was the Starling Tribune. You can leave us feedback at gonnageek.com or check out our archive at starlingtribune.com. Visit gonnageek.com for more podcasts. Music by Kevin MacLeod can be found at incompetech.com. This podcast is not produced or maintained by the CW, Warner Brothers Television, CTV, or DC Comics. All characters, stories, and situations are the property of Time Warner. No infringement is intended. We will see you for the next episode of CW's Arrow.